There's a bit of a glare coming off
Yeah,
the glass,
so
but that's okay.
these are where I keep some of the more interesting pieces. And I'll open this cabinet.
Okay. Oh, you mean there's more?
Yeah, there's boxes and shelves full of old cowboy regalia from the 1940s on up to around 1975.
Okay. Now, I don't know much about this collection or any of these guns, but what are some of the brand names?
Well, the brand names, Hubley was a big company in Pennsylvania. Nichols, it's another one, which is from Texas. And then there's a lot of independent companies, like this one, which is a George Schmidt. And various things from TV shows. These are related to TV shows that were on, like Roy Rogers, The Rifleman,
Okay, I've heard of
Gene
Rifleman.
Autry,
That's funny.
Have Gun Will Travel, Rin Tin Tin, and then some badges from Matt Dillon from Gunsmoke, Wyatt Earp, Roy Rogers, and various Hopalong Cassidy,
Okay.
the little spurs for the cowboy boots, etc.
Okay.
So these are all real cap guns from, like I said, around 1940 to around 1975. And it's interesting because some of these are like very real. And when I think about having these when I was like 5 or 6 years old, it seems crazy that you would have something that looks like a real gun and has the weight of a real gun.
They're all made of metal, aren't they?
They're all made of metal. Most of them are alloys, but like this one here is actually cast iron. It's very heavy and it's nickel plated. But most of them are alloy metals and pretty light.
Okay.
There's caps, which of course are for this rifle.
Are they easy enough to remove? Like, can you maybe pick up one or two and show us some of the
Yeah, the difference
your favorites,
between,
perhaps?
you know, this is the Texan, which is, I think this was made by Hubley, and they work, you know, like a real gun, but of course they take rolls of caps, and this is heavy. This is a heavy instrument. It's made of cast iron and nickel plated, so even for a little child to hold it, it must have been very heavy.
Okay. What do you think it's modeled on? Is it modeled on like the real thing?
Yeah, they're generally copied after Western pistols. You know, interesting thing about some of these are the Nichols, for instance. They actually operate more like a real gun, and they actually take these little bullets where they're two-piece. There's lead that goes into the shell, and you would have put a little sticky cap on there, and you actually insert the shell, close it.
This angle's better. The light's a bit better from over here. Yeah. Okay. Good.
When you cock it, it advances the cylinder.
Yeah.
So that you can fire the cap.
Okay, you said something about Have Gun Will Travel.
It was a TV show about a gunslinger
Yeah.
who would actually be hired by people to get rid of some problem they were having. And it was basically a gunslinger who was a gun for hire in the West. And in fact, if you can focus on here, these were his business cards.
Okay, wow.
He lived in San Francisco, and if you wanted to get in touch with him, you would send a telegram to Paladin, his name, in San Francisco, and his company was Have Gun Will Travel.
Okay. And there's like some other like gems. It looks like there's some other
various things from little tin badges you could buy when you were young. There's a Lone Ranger watch. Doesn't really work, but it looks like a watch.
Okay.
and some other little articles from the past that you don't see anymore.
Okay.
Continuing down, we have the Have Gun Will Travel hat, which was the Paladin's trademark. He always dressed in black, and this was one of the hats you could buy.
Okay. Let me just get a shot of that label. It's like just like his business card.
Yeah.
Okay, move in closer. There we go. Okay, great. Can you tell me about the rifleman?
The rifleman had a special rifle. It was a Winchester-based rifle, but he had it fixed by a blacksmith, so that it had a special ring around it. Most of them would look like this, like a real Winchester would look like this. So when you cocked it, shoot.
Yeah.
But the rifleman had a special mechanism welded to his
Yeah.
his
The ring,
cocking
yeah.
bar, and it was round also. So
Okay.
that the idea was, instead of shooting the rifle, cocking it, and shooting it like that, he could take this rifle and rapid fire it very quickly by just cocking it back and forth, and it would fire automatically.
Okay. All right.
Chuck Connors, who was the rifleman, his name was Lucas McCain in the series, actually played baseball for the Los Angeles Dodgers in 1957.
Gunsmoke. Can you tell us about Gunsmoke?
Gunsmoke was...
I don't know any of these shows.
Gunsmoke
so please.
was a show on TV, and Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal, which is this
Yeah.
badge here,
Okay. Close up.
he was the
I'll
sheriff.
do a cutaway after that. Okay.
He was the sheriff of this town, and of course he had adventures every week and had to get rid of the bad guys that would come to the town. And it was all about that.
Okay. And were these shows on the telly when you were a kid?
Yes, I watched them all when
Okay.
I was about 6 or 7 years old, maybe 8,
All right.
9.
Nice. And wait a second. I think there are some pictures of you in your. You showed me a picture once of you with your cowboy costume on, or is that around here?
That's upstairs.
Okay.
We can go see that after.
Okay. Sure.
And down in these shelves I have other
more.
various
Okay. Can you just
unpolitically,
crouch down?
not really politically correct, but
Okay.
the Redskin Raid shooting game, where you set up little Indians and horses and shoot them with a dart gun.
Okay.
And of course I have the rubber knife, Davy Crockett,
Yeah.
that was another TV show. And there's a few other pieces in here. This is one of my favorites because of the color of the grip. It's called a Colt 38, which was a real gun manufacturer in the States, Colt.
Mm-hmm.
And you open this by flipping this lever. And again, this would take little tiny shells with caps on them. And of course it would shoot the caps, so. But I like that because of the color of the grips. Most of them are white or black. These are kind of turquoise. They're kind of
Okay.
pretty.
Very nice.
And this is interesting. This is from 1920. It's actually a water pistol. And the way that it works is you squeeze it and dip this in water, and it sucks
Okay.
the water in.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
when you want to squirt somebody, you just squeeze it and the water comes out.
Mhm.
These are the perforated rolls of caps. Come in a box like this. They come with a long roll, and each one of these individual rolls you can see the lines through. You break that off so that would be one roll, another roll, so you would get a lot of action out of one box of caps. And I think it says on here 1,500 shots, so you can have 1,500 explosions from one box. That's good package. The Kilgore was a big...
Can you hold that steady for a second? I just want to get it. There we go.
Mattel came out with a cap pistol called the Shootin Shell. And the way that it worked,
Okay.
you put that in your Shootin Shell gun with a greeny stickum cap, and when you would shoot it, this would actually shoot the shell from the gun. Not
Okay.
hard or fast enough to do any damage to anything, but just interesting that they made it
Yeah, very realistic.
to work like a real bullet. That's fascinating. This was made in Japan, probably in the early 50s, and it has a flint inside, so that when you press the trigger, there's a motor that hits the flint against a grinding wheel, and actually and another one I have, I can find it here. Interesting. This was made by Chine and Company in the U.S. called Atomic Flash. Again, this would take a flint from a cigarette lighter. You put this back, you put it inside. One more, see if this one can get some action for you. So you would have a lot of noise, you would have an actual spark from a cigarette lighter. And you can see what it does.
Great.
These were all metal toys, various makes and models. This is Japanese again, but it was a wind-up one. A nice, really vintage Wyatt Earp hat here, which is in really mint condition. Wyatt Earp, he was a Western gunfighter, very famous.
And films were made about him?
There was films about him, movies, and a TV series. Okay, this is from Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus. You could have purchased this by seeing The Greatest Show on Earth, which was a circus in the 50s. And again, it's a friction sparking gun with a little bit of action mechanism. Up to Star Wars, which is the Han Solo pistol from Star Wars. And there's no batteries in there, so it won't make any noises, but basically it looked cool and made cool noises. This is called a paper popper, and as I said, they were given away for advertising. Basically, it's a piece of cardboard with some paper glued on it, and the way that you would work this is you would put your finger between the grips and actually just
Do that
shoot
again.
it.
Okay. Okay, great.
And of course there, bang, it's the big
Yeah.
explosion
That's funny.
painting. So this is pretty rare. And I have various other pieces of games. There's a dart game back here which is shaped like a camera, but it actually shoots darts. So you insert the dart where the camera lens is, and when you go to take the picture, it shoots a dart. There was also a series of toys from Mattel called Agent Zero M. These were primarily spy-related toys. As you can see, this looks like a nice kind of Boy Scout pocket knife. Here you can see the logo, Agent Zero M. It was made by Mattel. And they had several spy toys.
Okay.
By the click of a button. It's called a pocket shot. This is the typical box that a Kilgore cap gun would have come in. I like the advertising. It's called the Private Eye. It's a 50-shot repeating toy cap pistol and shoots Kilgore perforated roll caps. This slides open. And we have the actual Kilgore Private Eye cap gun in there. Not terribly elaborate, but it is in the original box, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Hey kids, look.